Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm the soon-to-be-saved Chad McCanna.
And I'm Hyle Russell. Do you hear that, Chad? Or is that angel horns?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think it just might be. Why don't we stare wistfully at the sky?
While the Lumineers play. Fuck you, Chris Carter.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That he was trying so hard to be Aaron Sorkin in that last couple of scenes.
That whole episode, God. He was trying to be Aaron Sorkin, so yeah.
Because of the mushrooms?
Well, yes, the mushrooms, but also just the pitter-patter of his dialogue. Disgusting.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. I want to believe. I know you want to believe. I want to believe. I believe you believe. Yeah, it's C.J. Craig and Josh Lyman, that is not.
No.
Okay.
Not even Joshua Malina and I don't know that woman who came in the end of season 5. I don't even remember like the
Patricia Richardson.
No, the blondish one who was like there.
Not
like
Donna.
No.
The Pixie. We called her the Pixie.
No. The other one.
Oh, okay. I don't know what other blonde there is. There was Amy, but
she eventually got her own show on the USA Network. I don't know.
That is not a good way to elaborate on who the person is. Their hit USA Network show.
Well, Dule Hill was on Psych. So.
Hey, that's fair. Apparently, there's a casting director that also serves the USA Network. All right. Well, let's not get into the whole oligopoly of NBC Universal. Welcome to the Kongversation. This is a show about the larger Donkey Kong universe, which not only spans the Donkey Kong Country and Onward branch of the Donkey Kong series, but also covers characters that have spun out of that series, largely because of Diddy Kong Racing and its introduction of Banjo the Bear and Conquer the Squirrel.
That's right. And Tricky
the Triceratops. Yeah, from Star Fox Adventures, the prequel.
That's right. Which I bet you didn't know that the Star Fox series took place several decades before Diddy Kong Racing, but you do now. Mm-hmm. You do now. So there you go.
And we've time-stamped it because of the canonical reference to Albert Einstein in Star Fox 64.
Right. So Star Fox has to take place between the 1940s and 1997.
At the earliest, it could be in the 30s, but Einstein really kind of came into public awareness in the 40s, and then you have to account for radio transmissions from Earth traveling to another star system.
Absolutely, you do.
Yeah. Which actually that doesn't. Well, no, that would make sense because Alpha Centauri is only 4.1 light years away. So wherever Lilat is, It could be within the realm of a few dozen light years. Anyway, we've done the math, so you don't have to, and that's the depths of psychosis we go to in the Kongversation.
I'm sure Star Fox Zero is just going to steamroll our calculations.
Yeah. Hey, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah. Or there's going to be like Slippy's going to like lament missing The Bachelor because he's out on a mission.
I just wanted to get a rose, Fox.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Have you practiced your Slippy, or is it just pulling it out of your ass?
That's the first time. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm impressed.
Yeah. Although I've been going through some seasonal allergy stuff, so sometimes my voice would have cracked if I tried that, and not in the way you want your voice to crack when you're doing Slippy, because you need a little bit of crack, but you don't want it. Because then if you don't have enough crack, it'll turn into Mickey Mouse.
Luckily, we're still going through puberty, which is why we're talking about action figures this episode. So that can aid any Slippy impressions that we might be pulling out. But before we get to the action figure discussion, we have some due diligence to get to, my friend.
Yeah. We need to talk to you about our Patreon. Have you heard the good news?
We should go door to door with like pamphlets. That would be amazing.
Hello, my name is Chad McCanna. I would like to share with you a most amazing way to donate to this website.
Donate? Wow.
Yeah.
You could donate to a charity. You could help the world around you, or you could donate to DK Vine and really help no one. But if you do, we have some fantastic thank yous to give you, including stickers. Did I just say stickers, Chad? Why?
You did.
Yes, I did.
Surely the stickers, you'd have to donate $10 a month to get stickers. It's a physical reward.
I mean, yeah, I would say $10, $20, maybe even $500 for stickers.
A month.
No.
Yeah.
No.
What?
We have 4 fabulous, fantastic stickers to give to you for only $1 a month.
We should start saying over 3 stickers.
Yes, you can get stickers such as Diddle, Bear and Bird, Conkers versus Bad Nut, and the DK Vine logo.
The DK Vine logo is my favorite off-brand DKU character. So it's a physical reward. If you donate to the site for $1 a month, we'll send you some stickers. $2 a month, we'll invite you into our Minecraft server, and we actually have Rob Butler, frequent caller, is now in the server working on building Big Ape City.
What?
Yeah. That's new as of about a week and a half ago. So, we're really excited about some of the projects that people are undertaking on the DK Vine server. I'm really hoping that we did find a really cool archipelago that I think is just begging to be fleshed out into the DK Isles from DK64.
Now, here's the thing, though. If Rob Butler is building Big Ape City, does that mean Rob Architect is serving everybody drinks?
Oh, I got you.
You have to think about that one for just a second.
I did.
Yeah.
There's a thinker, but it was worth the thought. So anyway, that's at $2 a month. You're whitelisted onto our Minecraft server. We also have early access to the Kongversation. You can listen to this show live. And we're going to be doing several multiplayer events in the month of April and then continuing those on each month thereafter. Unfortunately, we missed the month of March because I was in the middle of a move. But we're going to make up for that. And if you come in, you're going at the $10 tier for that. Sure. Yeah, probably. Yeah, let's say $10.
I don't remember because I'm a bad businessman.
If you donate at the $10 tier, you can multiplayer game with us and be on Skype, and we're probably going to do hashtag IDARB next. And we did Mario Kart before; it was a lot of fun.
Maybe something from Rare Replay.
Maybe something from Rare Replay. We could even do a Perfect Dark or something that Hyle and I are utterly terrible at.
Hey, I was apparently awful at Mario Kart 8, so why not?
It was really confusing though because everyone was playing as Donkey Kong.
Yeah, I could have done fantastically, and I just was like watching somebody else play, and that screwed me up.
It was really Memechi that had all that trouble.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Good job, Hyle.
We actually will have the YouTube video of that up in relatively short order.
If it's not up already by the time you're listening to this.
So you can watch the whole 2-hour sorted affair. Watch me suck at video games. It's going to be great.
It was a fun time. I think people will like watching that. Yeah. Sorry that's also taken so long to get up. That's another casualty of my move.
That's right. Stop moving, Chad. God damn it.
Yeah.
You just got to nest somewhere.
I actually stayed at this last apartment for 2 years, which is a record for me.
That pretty much is. Since college, that is a record for you. So anyway, Patreon. Check us out, dkvine.com/Patreon. DKVine's also on social media, pretty much everywhere for the most part. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, sometimes Instagram.
Right. Not for a while. Probably not anytime soon. Also YouTube, though.
Yeah, well, is YouTube social media? YouTube's more of,
It has comments that Joe likes to read, but I think it qualifies as a community of sorts, although it's not a community I would ever want to belong to.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, YouTube's a thing we're also on. You might even be listening to the conversation on YouTube.
Yeah,
that might be a thing.
And I've just insulted all of you.
All you have to do is type dkvine.com/ and then type in the thing, and you'll go right to us.
Yeah, not the thing though. That takes you to our Fantastic Four fan film.
Also, call
Which
the DK.
It probably will by the time you listen to this.
I am overwriting your comments. Call the DK Vine hotline if you want to appear on the conversation in call form. That's 1-281-410-KONG. That's 5664. So, Chad, we haven't had the jingle in a while.
No, we haven't. Yeah, I want to hear it too. So please, Hyle, regale us.
Oh, you want me to sing it?
I do.
All right.
If you're going to step on my Fantastic Four joke, then you have to sing the theme song, asshole.
All right. Hold on. If you want to call the DK Vine hotline, then call 1-281-410 and a word.
Fresh. All right, that'll work. So let's talk about action figures.
Oh boy. Let's talk about action figures. Okay, so
let's talk about action figures. All right. What? That song, Let's Talk About Sex?
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
I co-wrote that song, Chad. I didn't get a credit for it because they screwed me out of it, but yes, I wrote that song.
Wow. Very prescient for a 4-year-old. It's impressive.
So, yeah, I wanted to talk about DKU action figures, the Donkey Kong universe for the plebe out there. But essentially, I'm over 30 years old at this point. I don't like to admit it. I just did. But
as am I.
I feel my body decaying, and I don't like it. I think I'm going to have bad knees. That's going to be a thing I'll have to live with. But
well, to be fair, Hyle, your body's been decaying your whole life. That's just the nature of existence.
I think you're still growing at a certain point. There's only you hit a point, and there's only one place to go, and that's down. So. I'm well past that point.
You don't want to be like the super fit grandpa from Sky Mall?
No, I want to be like a thin. I want to have a swimmer's build for my entire life, and I don't want to have the sagging. I don't want to have the saggy man nipples either.
Oh, well, super fit grandpa doesn't have saggy man nipples. It looks like they photoshopped a grandpa's head onto a bodybuilder's body. Maybe
he has like implants to keep them pert.
Ooh, perhaps like pectoral implants.
Yeah.
I could see Sky Mall pulling some kind of shenanigans like that. Like I question whether or not their Zombie of the Moors is an actual product of voodoo.
So when I'm 70, by the way, Sky Mall doesn't exist anymore. But
it doesn't? No way. No. Am I making completely outdated jokes?
They shut down like a year ago. Yeah.
Oh, I hope people still remember the Zombie of the Moors.
Or their Yeti. Remember their Yeti? Or their Sasquatch or whatever it was, yeah.
I love the one that's peeking out from behind a tree. Here I am, made of bronze, 4 feet tall, just like you remember Sasquatch.
God damn it, Chet. My point was about the pectoral implants. That when
I'm working on my Type 5. Sorry.
when I'm 70, I'm going to be using the Patreon money to get pectoral implants.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it's going towards a good cause.
Absolutely. And then the Men of DK Vine calendar will still sell by the dozens at least.
Yeah. So your body's decaying, but your vigor for youthful pursuits is still alive. Is that where you were going?
Yeah, I like action figures. What can I say? I don't buy them unless they're DKU, but I don't know. It's the little boy in me who still likes to have like everybody's buying these what are they called now? These pop figures that are like super
the pop vinyls. Yeah,
super minimalistic and like barely detailed. They're just a couple recognizable like aspects to the character, so you know it's them. But otherwise,
I do not like these things.
I hate them, and I hate that everything is in this design style now. The Funko like super abstract or minimalistic designs. When I was a kid, like we made this when we made this steady progression. I'm getting old because I can say when I was a kid and say it with more anger and bitterness than ever before. When I was a kid,
there was a time when you were Donkey Kong. Now you're Cranky Kong.
I am sort of the in between stage. I'm maybe Donkey Kong 94. Donkey Kong Sr.
You're not a donkey, not yet a cranky.
So when I was a kid, like action figures, we had this steady progression towards they were getting more and more detailed and realistic. You look back at the action figures of our youth, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they actually weren't that great when you look at them with modern eyes. They were.
What are you talking about? I had an Olympic swimming Raphael that I could take into the bathtub with me.
Okay, that's cool and all, but I'm just saying, like, as far as like on model, like representations of the characters from the show or the comics, they weren't.
On model, no, yeah.
But as I got older, entered my teenage years into my early 20s, like action figures really, really got more detailed, and they started catering towards like the adult collectors market. And then we hit this point. Maybe it was the Great Recession. I don't know, when they couldn't really afford like the petroleum to make the plastic. They just started like half-assing it, and this minimalistic design. We're really everywhere in our culture, but this minimalistic design really took off, and stuff like pop figures became fashionable. And I don't think it's a minimalist. I don't think it's to do with the plastic cost or anything. I think it's because it's simpler to churn out in mass when you have the exact same product with a different coat of paint on it. I think it's more about mass production than about the cost of materials. I think it's a little bit of A and a little bit of B, because I know petroleum prices have affected the toy industry a great deal. I thought petroleum is cheaper than ever right now. During the Bush era, it wasn't, Chad. During the Bush era. All right. I mean, maybe Obama will bring detailed action figures to us before the end of his term, but, we'll see. Yeah. I want a fully articulate Joe Biden. I want to be able to bend Joe Biden's knees so he can sit down on that Amtrak back to Delaware. So long as you can have an Amtrak playset, too. That's the important part. Right. I wanted to open up like the Technodrome. I had the Technodrome. I know you did, you son of a bitch. I had the sewer playset. I had the Technodrome, and I had a bunch of the vehicles. So I would stage these wars. You had a Super Nintendo, too. Yeah, I did. Because my parents weren't Amish. I was also the only child. Yeah. I wasn't that spoiled, all right? I didn't get everything I wanted. It was just, I got an action figure per week, maybe, which is still, I know, ridiculous. Y'all don't know what it's like being male middle class and white. My point is, I still... Like, I when I'm in a Toys R Us or whatever buying Skylanders, I still like to, maybe head over to the action figure aisles just to see what's out there now. And I respect the craft, and I like to imagine myself being a little boy. This is going to sound really creepy in retrospect. Maybe I like to imagine. Just say boy more. Say little boy more, because I think that really endears you to the listener every time you refer to little boys. No, there's cool shit that's still being made, though. It might not be selling as much as it did when I was a kid, but there's still cool shit being made that I wish was around when I was a kid, because, I look at some of these new figures, I'm like, damn, that would have been cool to have when I was a kid. I'm not going to buy it now, but the action figures I do still buy are if they relate to the Donkey Kong universe, because they're on my shelf here, you kind of inspire me, Chad. I didn't do this before I went to your place in Houston. Yeah. When you still lived in Houston, and I saw your desk layout, and I saw all your toys up on your shelf, and I was like, well, damn, look at that. He just got them out. It was like a combination of mine and Michelle's, or Michelle's, Janelle's. Is there something I should know about? No, I was going to ask if you were going to do this with Michelle, but my brain got ahead of me. What you saw was basically Janelle and I, we kind of combined all our action figures and toys and knickknacks and sort of made a display out of it, and my half was very heavy into the DKU. I was going to ask if you're now adopting this practice when you and your fiance get a place of your own, are you going to be kind of merging the two together? No. She's got some Lord of the Rings figures and like Wall-E and some other stuff, but I'm gonna have. Is she a Tolkien nerd? Yeah, a little bit. Oh man, I'm gonna have to geek out at the wedding. Okay. Noted. I'm designing our wedding invitations now, and Gandalf may be the officiant on the wedding invitations. So. Aw, shit. What? So anyway, No,
I'm going to start my best man toast with I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve, and see how that goes over. About as well as it's going over now.
You should just do the Down, Down, Down in Goblin Town song.
I'll do the whole thing.
No, I'm going to have my own office.
That's what Chad McCanna hates.
I'm going to have my home office, and all my action figures will be quarantined in my office. So, yeah.
Okay. That's nice, though, that you get like a DKU man cave.
Yeah, but I'm saying you inspired me, though, Chad, because I saw, I had all my action figures, in boxes in my parents' attic at this point, and you inspired me, because I saw you were, proudly displaying them, and at this point, I was still single, so I didn't feel like I could, I had to, keep that part of myself private, but I was like, you know what? This is who I am. This is who I am. So, I embraced it, and I started displaying my old action figures again, and I started buying the new ones, and it was great. It's great. It's great to have this visual orgy of who I am up on this shelf in plastic form. So right. I like action figures, and it's funny because there's a sordid history to Donkey Kong Universe action figures, and I should clarify what I mean by action figure is figures that are essentially 4 inches to 6 inches tall, and they're somewhat articulated. I'm not talking about the little mini figures that have been released over the years. I'm not talking about things like keychains or plushies or whatnot. We're gonna have a great episode in the future about DKU keychains. Trust me. But
I have, when I was at my parents' house over this last winter holiday, I discovered some amazing keychains. And I've brought them all to New York. I have Donkey Kong Country. I have a keychain of Dixie riding on squawks.
What is this
in 3D? In 3D, it's not like a 2D, little flimsy rubber thing. It's like a 3D model of Dixie riding squawks.
Where the hell did you get this, and why haven't I seen pictures of it?
Oh, I posted pictures all over eBay when I found them. If you go to eBay, I got them on eBay. My brain is scrambled tonight. I posted pictures all over Twitter. So if you go to the DK Vine Twitter account and look around late December, early January, no, it would have to be late December, probably December 29, 30 of 2015. There's just a deluge of images of all this stuff.
Are these official?
Yeah. And why I was thinking eBay is because I largely found them on eBay back in the day. But I was on eBay in 99, 2000, which was much, much closer to when these things were created than today. So they'd probably be a lot harder to find now.
Yeah, I mean, I know about your legendary eBay hauls of that era. Your lawn mowing money went towards buying all sorts of DKU crap. And
now it's populating my brand new Brooklyn apartment.
But I want to talk about the action figures this week, Chad.
So you're writing off the world of Nintendo line that we've really spoken highly of.
No. The world of Nintendo line, they have action figures in those. I'm not talking about the mini figures that are probably more popular because they're so cheap. I'm talking about the more full scale action figures, which we'll get into the difference here as we go.
By full scale, you mean extremely tiny.
Full scale for toys. I don't mean they didn't ever make a life-size Diddy Kong, But
much as we would want to see that.
Yeah, I mean, sex hole optional. But why would I go?
Oh, dear. Why? It was not necessary.
I do not want to have sexual relations with Diddy Kong. I just want to clarify.
With that monkey.
With that monkey, Mr. Kong.
Yeah, that star pattern was on his red shirt when I got there.
Hey, baby, I like to get funky with that monkey. All right.
There it is.
Nip it in the bud. All right. So,
not gonna do it.
Think of this as a spiritual follow-up to our Season 1 episodes about the Nintendo Power supplies catalog. If you remember those episodes, we went a great deal about some of the merchandise that figured into Nintendo that they sold exclusively through Nintendo Power during that time. So this is going to be a little bit more broader than that because that got really insular. We were talking about DKC2 sleds and all
the banana boat.
The banana boat, right? So we are not.
I think that wasn't insular though because we were still the audience surrogate in that because we just had hazy memories of it, and I feel like that's one of our strongest run of podcasts because we were just as dumbfounded as the listeners over some of these products.
Yeah, we are not bombing downhill with the monkey on this episode.
Sure.
Sorry to disappoint, but a lot of that merchandise in the Nintendo Power Supplies catalog, especially of the mid to late 90s, was made by a company called, and I'm going to botch this, I might need your help, Chad. They were called BD&A Incorporated, which stood for, goddamn, Ben Susan
Deutsch.
Deutsch?
Yeah. Ben Susan, Deutsch and Associates.
Yeah, which sounds like a horrible law firm that is very shady. But no, they actually made merchandise for Nintendo. I think they were a company that at least had offices in Redmond, so they were just probably Nintendo's neighbor, and they were lazy, and they were like, "Hey, can you make these toys for us?" And they're like, "Sure."
Yeah. Because we're pretty sure that's where the banana boat came from.
Well, they actually had the license for several years. I think at least through the end of the 90s into the aughts. But yes, BD&A, they made a lot of stuff. But in 1999, they branched out into actual legitimate action figures, like stuff that you would see in Toys R Us or KB Toys back in those days.
Look, here at BD&A, we're legitimate businessmen making legitimate action figures. What do you want?
Was BD&A one of Donald Trump's failed businesses, like Trump Steaks?
You can only find BD&A action figures at the Sharper Image.
But no, these were BD&A started a company, a subdivision called Toy Sight, and Toy Sight was going to make Nintendo action figures, and they started. Believe it or not, this is a sign of the times. They started with Donkey Kong. So there was a and they timed this, I think, to coincide with Donkey Kong 64. But this
I remember it being part of that line. Yeah, it's just in my memory.
This toy line was not branded for Donkey Kong 64. It was just a generic toy line called Donkey Kong. And they I have the card stock in my hand right now. This old card stock for the Diddy Kong figure, and they used a DKC2 jungle for the background. So you've got like the Venus flytraps. You've got like the kind of overgrown jungle.
The spikes with the skulls in them.
Oh well, they unfortunately those did not make it to the card. But yeah. So it's Donkey Kong, and they made several figures. That these are actually based from the DKC trilogy. There were no DK64 figures that made it to market, but we'll get into that a little bit here. So the figures that they released in this line were. They did 2 Donkey Kong figures, and I should point out that the Donkey Kong figures. Now, Chad, do you remember these very well?
Yeah, of course. These are the ones that. There was a banana flinging Diddy. This is the one with Kiddy Kong in the set, right?
Yeah. Okay, so there were.
Yeah, I remember all these. These are among the things that I dug through over the holidays at my parents' house, and I still have the card stock as well. That was actually, as I was excavating the closet in my childhood bedroom, I came upon a box that was really light, and it was my Nintendo 64 box with like Mario 64 screenshots on it. It was, I didn't know why I still had it. I opened it up and it was filled with these empty action figure containers. And I thought, son of a bitch, they're around here somewhere. And then ultimately I did find them as well. But yeah, I held on to them too for some reason.
Yeah. So yeah, and you actually these and another action figure line we'll get into in just a bit. You used to make the Monkey Piece Theater stop motion short films on DK Vine,
right.
And we're actually if you'll go to our YouTube channel, we are actually, they should be up by now. We have revived them and put them on our YouTube channel. So check those out. Yeah, Matt and I dug them up, found them, and we're polishing them off. So check those out on our YouTube channel, dkvine.com/YouTube.
I don't think I've seen those for like a decade. These are my old stop motion videos. I think didn't I make Diddy's tail look like a giant penis in one of them?
I know that Diddy and Banjo made out in one.
Yeah. Oh, and I remember I used Silly Putty to make it look like Wizpig was blinking.
Yeah, that was very nice. I'm glad you had pig-colored Silly Putty.
That's just default Silly Putty.
I don't know. Dude, I don't play with Silly Putty. I play with action figures. What are you talking about?
But wait, don't you want to have a reverse imprint of Gasoline Alley?
Jesus Christ. The Silly Putty does not work very well on my iPad, I'm sad to say. Just makes a mess. So yeah, there were 2 Donkey Kong figures in this line, and if you'll remember, the Donkey Kong figures were kind of off-model. They were kind of like the weakest link in this line. They were, and when I say they were off-model, they just looked pretty far off from the classic rare renders. I mean,
he had kind of a strange duck bill. It was sort of like what Donkey Kong would come to look like in Smash Brothers Melee artwork.
A little bit, yeah. So there's High Swingin' Donkey Kong, and he is a Donkey Kong kind of hard to play with unless you're doing one thing, and that's hanging him from something, because he is clutching a string that's supposed to be a vine, and you can hang that. You can then hang that vine on surfaces, so he's just hanging from them. And
but to hang the vine, I was playing with this a few months back. There's a tiny plastic vise that you have to rotate a screw so that it opens and closes, and you can put it like over the ledge of a table, and he just hangs down. But it's strange that they could have just put like a metal clasp, but there's this little vice mechanism that they put on this toy for some reason.
I did take him out hiking with me one day. I took pictures of it. I think that was an early Facebook picture. On the DK Vine Facebook, shortly after we launched.
Would that have been one of your pre-E3 good luck walks?
I don't think so. I think this was just for the hell of it. I'm taking Donkey Kong into the woods with me. But no, it really did look cool, actually, hanging from a tree. And I was like, okay, Toy Site, touche. You won me over. You won me over some 15 years later. But the more accessible, and I say accessible because he's not hanging from something awkwardly, the more accessible Donkey Kong figure was chest slamming Donkey Kong, and his arms were permanently like held to his chest, and you essentially pushed a button on the back, and he would beat his chest, much like the idle animation in the original Donkey Kong Country. And in that with that figure came packaged a Kiddy Kong figure.
That's right.
Oddly enough, I don't know why I guess they had nowhere else to really package poor Kitty, since there's no Dixie figure in this line. And
it's such a strange choice, too, not only to pack him with Donkey Kong, but just to include Kitty at all. By this point, it's been 3 years since Donkey Kong Country 3 was kind of swept under the rug by the existence of the N64, due to no fault of the games, but just because everyone had already moved on to the next console generation. It's so strange that they would highlight this character. Also, he's a lot smaller than he should have been if you're just sort of going by his appearance in the games. Yeah,
I like to imagine this is like Kiddy Kong, maybe circa 1995. He hasn't really grown as much yet, but he's actually modeled after the renders from DKC3, so he actually has his pacifier on him, something that was not on the in-game sprite. And oddly enough, too, Kitty came with a milk bottle.
Yeah. One wonders if that's formula or if someone is pumping on the DK aisles.
I really hope this is Dixie's aunt's breast milk.
Why do you really hope that?
Because that's what it would be if somebody's pumping, right?
That's true. Well, it could be anyone. There could be some sort of midwife thing, or a breast timeshare, if you will. It takes a village sometimes to provide breast milk for a growing bonobo.
So
now, what did we decide he was?
I think we just relented and said, "Fuck it, he's a gorilla. Fuck you."
He's a gorilla. All right, whatever.
But much to the cheers of, I believe, M Dog on the DK Vine forum. That was like his biggest pet peeve with DK Vine, is that we refused to acknowledge Kiddy Kong was a gorilla for the longest time. And I don't know, we had our reasons, but
whatever.
No, anyway, breast milk. Maybe it's from Goldilocks' mom.
No, anyway, breast milk.
because Northern Hemisphere, if Kitty is being raised in the Northern Hemisphere, maybe it's from Goldilocks' mom. Maybe she I don't know.
Oh, let's not. This is already making me deeply uncomfortable.
her breast milk is just right.
Okay, Hyle Russell.
But it's cool. Kitty also beats his chest, and his tongue sticks out when you do it because he's a big derpy baby.
Yeah. Yeah, his tongue is actually like it moves independently, and it's nice that his motion is mirroring Donkey Kong's. Like he's kind of looking up to the big guy. I like that about it.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense because we always said his cowlick was him emulating Donkey Kong. So I like that little bit of sure, why not?
Right.
But there was also Diddy Kong, but the aforementioned banana flinging Diddy Kong. And so he came with 3 bananas, and I believe coconuts as well. And he could fling coconuts and bananas from his hand.
he could fling bananas because they vaguely fit into his pre-molded hand, but the coconuts would just kind of flop out if you tried to do anything with them.
It's interesting too about this on the cardstock. He does not have his blue eyes, but the figure itself has the blue eyes. So they were a late addition to the figure. I think somebody said, "Hey, Diddy has blue eyes now. We better give him blue eyes." So
because that was introduced in Diddy Kong Racing, of course.
Right. He also
of course.
This is the era where he still has 4 fingers and 4 toes. So no prosthetic golfing fingers for this figure.
Right. What else in this line? There was Funky Kong. That's a huge one.
Surfin' Funky Kong. He came with a Nintendo 64 surfboard, and this is kind of an off-model Funky Kong too, but sadly it's the only Funky Kong action figure we've ever had, so I use this action figure more than any other action figure when I'm making Facebook posts about like posing the characters as if they were the actual characters. Because it's just hilarious to do Funky Kong humor. Usually it involves Mountain Dew or some other like extreme 90s throwback. But he's got a FK medallion too, which I couldn't remember what it said. I was going to ask doesn't he have something that just says weed on it, or I guess it just says FK, huh? Which I like to imagine that's not Funky Kong. He just got a medallion that said fuck on it, like.
Right,
just to show the ladies. Just to
show
the
Jules
ladies
in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, he's down for it whenever, anytime, any place. But he's I guess he's supposed to be modeled after his DKC design, but he's not wearing trunks either. He's freeballing it. He's got sandals though, so good for him.
Yeah, and you don't want to get foot fungus or anything like that.
He's got it's a Nintendo 64 surfboard, but it's actually a skateboard. I don't know why they call him Surfing Funky Kong, because it's a skateboard, and he's a little skateboard he can roll around on.
Yeah, but that's because they want you to be able to push him along as if you were surfing, and they're never going to get an action figure to be able to right itself in the water. So that's a sort of a concession. You just have to remove those wheels with your imagination, or just much like the filming of Star Wars, just rub some Vaseline under the bottom of your eyeballs, and like the land speeder, they'll disappear.
Yeah, good reference. Of course, in a special edition, we'll just remove it.
Good reference. Fuck you.
Well, it's some dewbacks too. Got to add some dewbacks. Okay.
Of course.
And then there's also Smashin' Cranky Kong, and I love Smashin' Cranky Kong. Cranky. This is when I've been complaining about how off model these action figures are. Cranky Kong looks very, very nice.
They even use actual hair for his beard.
Yeah, actual cadaver hair donated by the elderly. Yeah, donated by the elderly. When you check that organ donor box, you had no idea that your beard hair is going to be used to make a plastic gorilla's beard come alive.
There's a certificate of authenticity in every box with a lovely photo of the donor
and the death certificate.
Yeah, I got a woman named Gladys.
I love this figure, and also he basically comes with a cane molded into it. It's modeled after his DKC cane, but he can beat a figure with it. He beats it up back and forth. He rocks his cane to emulate, him whacking a character with it to voice his disapproval with that character.
I recorded a video of myself doing that as soon as I discovered him in that same lump of Twitter posts, and I was just so tickled by the fact that this is the action of an action figure, is just to beat the other ones crankily.
I love that there's an action figure of an elderly man. Granted, he's a gorilla, but I just love that this exists, because as a kid, I always wanted, for my Batman line, I wanted an Alfred figure or Commissioner Gordon. And, they didn't make those back then. They make them now, but they didn't make them back then. And so I just love that, Cranky Kong is here. Back in the era when he was the most inactive of all the Kongs, there was an action figure for him. Sadly enough, though, there was no Dixie Kong in this line, and she is the glaring omission. And unfortunately, I think this is a problem that toy industry still has to this day, where they do not make... They think boys don't want to play with girl characters. You look at the new Star Wars movie, Rey was the main character, and yet they barely made any Rey action figures. And
really?
It's misogynistic, it's outdated thinking, and yet the toy industry really does subscribe to it. So, no Dixie action figure, which is why Kitty was packaged with chest slamming Donkey Kong. But ultimately,
that's so strange.
Ultimately, I loved this line. There was actually going to be a second wave. I don't know if you knew about this, Chad, but
I did not.
Yeah, it was scheduled for the year 2000, and we actually, if you look in our show notes, I actually provided images of all of some of the figures, at least in the line. And this would have focused more on Donkey Kong 64, but also some more original trilogy figures. So we were going to get, I just said there wasn't going to be any Dixie, but we were going to get a Tiny Kong. We were going to get a Chunky and a Lanky. And we were also going to get a Critter, our first ever Kremlin action figure. Oddly enough, he was going to come with a club. And I don't know, if it was supposed to invoke Clubba or what this thing was supposed to be, but
it looks sort of like, and that's really amazing. It's also cool to see the unpainted version of this.
Yes,
I'm looking at the show note. Where can people find these images, Hyle?
Google.
Go to google.com. What would they specifically search for?
No, I actually posted these on the Facebook page a long ass time ago. If you go to our albums on Facebook, just go to timeline photos and scroll down. You'll eventually see them.
Okay, cool.
This would have been from a couple years ago, but yeah.
Yeah, I think the Critter holding the club is sort of trying to evoke the what we called crashes. No, cranches. What did we call the minecart Kremlings from DK64?
Crashes.
Crasha? Oh, yeah, okay. Crashas. I think that they're sort of taking the Crasha Club. That's right, it's sort of a blending of Crusha and Crash. And they're giving it to the Critter. I kind of think that's what this is supposed to be.
And we should clarify, this is a Donkey Kong Country style Critter. They're not wearing their leather vest. This is actually, they've got the golden shoulder pads and the knee pads. Really cool to see. I mean, these are incredibly on model. And granted, these were prototype figures, and you always lose a little bit of detail and fidelity in the mass-produced ones. But still, very cool to see.
It looks really good, and it also doesn't seem to take any inspiration from the DKC TV series, which had to have been a huge temptation in this era.
Yes. We'll get into that just a bit. Japan actually did have a line of action figures based on the cartoon, and we'll touch upon that briefly. There was also a Donkey Kong in a minecart, and this is really cool. This is very much, they improved their Donkey Kong design tenfold in what was going to be Wave 2. He looks a lot closer to Rare's renders. The fur is darker and actually detailed a little bit. It's like contoured a little bit. And the minecart looks straight out of DKC.
And you can tell it's definitely a DK64 model because they started... It's weird. The furry shenanigans, what we call that sort of... generated rendered fur that they started doing in Donkey Kong Country 2. Oh, if you look at DK's brow on the DK64 renders, it dips down in the middle, like the sagging part of his brow just over his eyes a little bit, like his brown fur. It's sort of like he has bangs almost. It's very subtle, and if you're just casually looking at it, you'd never really notice it, but the action figure has it.
Yeah, wow, it's incredible, and oh god, I imagine you could also like switch out Donkey Kong with the critter, and then you could buy two and you get like 2 mine carts, and you could race them, and my god, that I would play with these today. Now there's also going to be, in addition to Wave 2 of the Donkey Kong line, Toy Site was going to expand, and they were going to make a Zelda line. They're also going to be a general Nintendo line titled Mario's World. And the Mario's World series would have combined the Mario properties, and they had Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, Bowser, and Wario planned. But there's also going to be Star Fox characters. Fox McCloud was penned in, and surprisingly enough, Banjo-Kazooie. And,
wow.
So
all the way from Mario's World comes Banjo and Kazooie.
So there's images that exist of Banjo and Kazooie, and these are very, I think, on-model Banjo and Kazooies. I think Kazooie's beak, the color at the end of her beak is a little bit darker than I would like, but otherwise, these look incredible.
Yeah.
Kazooie in Banjo's backpack. I'm not sure if she would have like flapped her wings. It looks like the wings might be articulated.
It looks like that. Yeah, I think they can go up and down, sort of around Banjo's shoulders.
There might have been a button you could press where she could, go bree, and you could flutter jump all you want.
Oh yeah.
The Fox McCloud looks a little bit rougher, but it's also based off Star Fox 64 and not Star Fox Adventures, because Star Fox Adventures wasn't a thing yet. It's also interesting to see some of the accessories that were going to be packaged with these Mario's World line. Apparently,
they've got Mario Party dice.
Mario Party dice would come with every figure, apparently. There was I don't know, like guns, maybe, like, I don't know what these are supposed to be, like the Super Scope. Yoshi had eggs, but yeah, they were really, like, this is something that we would eventually see come to fruition a little bit with Jakks Pacific in the modern day, but this was planned back in 2000, and ultimately, it never came to fruition. All of these figures were canceled at the end of the day.
God, these prototypes, I don't know where they exist or if they're just in some landfill, but they would sell for so much money on eBay.
Oh, absolutely. I know. And I really want all of these.
Yeah, even the Mario line, like, and the kind of bizarre malformed Fox McCloud, like they're really cool because they're officially sanctioned action figures. Like, Nintendo commissioned these.
Yeah. Yeah, back in an era when the only thing they really commissioned were plushes. Like, this is why the Donkey Kong figure line was so cool to me, because these were actually, as a boy, these were something, as a little boy, these were something that, like, appealed to me and what I loved way more than stuffed animals,
Before we move on from the subject of stuffed animals, I briefly want to mention that there was another strange Donkey Kong line around the same era as Wave 1 of these DK action figures that was a hybrid of action figures and stuffed animals, where the bodies of the plushes, and they had Diddy, DK, I think Cranky and Funky, the bodies were made out of plush, kind of. I think there were some beanbag elements, but their heads were perfectly solid, rigid plastic.
Right. Like, so you could still beat your sister with them,
Right. You want children to be violent, but only just.
They were actually sold through the Nintendo Power Supplies catalog. So yeah, pretty sure they were also made by BDNA. Before we move on to the line that was also out at this time, actually concurrent with the Toy Site figures, why don't we take our first call? Because I know we have some calls for this episode.
We have a call for this episode, but yeah, let's give it a shot.
Let's give it a shot.
Hey guys, Trader Derek calling in. My roommates couldn't fathom why I was so excited when I saw the topic of this episode. Anyway, I feel I've posted my shelf on the site enough that you guys have probably seen it, so I'd like to think I have a decent amount of figures. My favorite has to be the Jakks Diddy they did with all the articulation, the bigger one. Really nice, and I wish they'd do a Dixie in that style too. As far as other things I'd like to see, I'm really bummed those DK64 plushes I saw prototypes of never came out. I definitely would have gotten every single one. And I'd like to know what happened to that other DK amiibo they kind of showed when they announced the Mario line. It seemed like the Mario line's over already, and I'm wondering if the Skylander deal cut DK from getting another regular one. And as always, we need more K-Rool stuff. I mean, he got, one official figure, right? As always, thanks for doing the show, guys. Love it all. Take care.
All right, thanks, Trainer Derek.
As far as K-Rool goes, I think he only got a figure for the cartoon in Japan.
Yeah,
I know
there was a
domestic
prototype
figure. He never had a domestic figure, at least. And I know there's an unofficial figure, hush, being made by somebody right now.
Yeah.
Which
I don't know
cool.
how much. It's weird because we were sort of asked to spread the word about this thing, but not really spread the word because the person might get in trouble. So I don't know what we're supposed to say about it, really.
There's a thing that might exist or it might not. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. Who's to say when we can't even determine whether an NX controller is real?
Much like the Sky Mall Sasquatch, you know. Who knows if it actually exists in the wild, but
Oh, I've seen the Sky Mall Sasquatch in the wild.
Oh, I've got the Christmas ornament version of him. He's got
Really?
a little Santa hat.
Is it also 4 feet tall?
No. But he's got a little Santa hat and he's covered in Christmas lights. It's one of the jewels of my Christmas tree every year, next to my Donkey and Diddy Christmas ornaments. I can't wait to the DKU.
The Game Boy one?
Yeah, I can't wait to the DKU Christmas ornament episode because it's going to be 5 minutes long.
Yep.
As far as Amiibo go, we're not really talking about Amiibo this episode, but I will bring up Amiibo near the end because ultimately I feel like Amiibo is kind of going to be the death knell of the Jakks Pacific line, unfortunately.
And they're not articulated, of course.
There's little statues, and unlike Skylanders, which are fantastic, I'm making a jerk off motion, but I'm also sighing because I'm a hypocrite as I make that motion.
Because you just came.
Unlike Skylanders, Amiibos are essentially worthless for what they can actually do. Like, there's no visceral thrill of, ooh, toys to life. Like, this figure is coming to life on my TV screen. No, it's, oh, I'm unlocking a hat with this figure. Yay.
Yeah. They haven't played out the potential of Amiibo yet. I don't know. Do you think they're going to carry, I know it's a tangent, do you think they're going to carry Amiibo into the NX?
Well, I don't know, because I feel like the Amiibo, that whole nomenclature of E's, Amiibo, Mii's, it's very tied to the Wii brand, which I think is one reason they kept the Wii brand for the Wii U. I can't see them keeping the Wii brand alive, so, I mean, I don't know. It's like, I think Amiibos aren't selling as well as they used to. I don't have any hard sales data in front of me, but yeah, we'll see. I think they'll keep.
It seems to me that Amiibo are big holiday sellers when parents are looking for something around the $12 mark that'll really make their kids.
They're stocking stuffers, yeah.
They're stocking stuffers. That I don't know. I don't think it's a good time of the year to judge how well Amiibo are selling because last holiday they did great.
Yeah, I think they just need to diversify the Amiibo brand and actually utilize them better come the NX. But
that's the thing, yeah.
Tangent. All right. So, well, at the same time, well, thank you for the call, Trainer Derek, by the way. And I will touch upon some of your points near the end of the episode. So, around the same time as the Toy Site action figure line for Donkey Kong, Nintendo also licensed out some of their properties to Toy Biz, which is a much more renowned and well-known toy company. At the time, they were actually owned by Marvel Comics. I bet you didn't know that.
I did not.
Yeah, actually, on the action figures I'm about to talk about, it's so funny. There's the Toy Biz logo, the Marvel Comics logo, and the Nintendo official licensed product logo, and the Rareware logo. So you have these 4 logos crammed on the bottom here. It's so weird to see the Rare logo, the old school Rare logo, next to the Marvel Comics logo.
I feel like we're going to wind up with a Marvel fan version of Memechi trying to use this as a way to get the Marvel Cinematic Universe into the DKU.
Hell, Memechi will try to, because Marvel is owned by Disney, so this is Rare, another connection of Rare to Donald Duck. So
Slightly more tenuous than the fact that Rare created a game with Donald Duck in it.
Granted, it was a kart racing game, and these are kart racing figures, so I'm amazed they didn't make Mickey Speedway USA figures. Actually, no, I'm not amazed. So at this time, Toy Biz had a line of figures called Video Game Superstars, and they made lots of figures during this time. I think they made a Lara Croft figure and other things, but they also made some Nintendo figures, and Nintendo licensed out their two popular kart racing franchises at the time, because at the time they had two popular kart racing franchises. They had Mario Kart 64, obviously, and
F-Zero. Oh, wait, hang on, what?
F-Zero was never popular. Sorry, Sean. No, there was Diddy Kong Racing, and so these were concurrent lines of figures, and they were small lines, but nonetheless lines all the same. Diddy Kong Racing, they had Diddy Kong, and Diddy Kong came packaged with a plane. Didn't actually fly. This was pre-drone, but you had to use your imagination. You had to, fly it around with your hand, go.
I would love to see Paul Mahacek fly this around Rare headquarters.
Yeah. Well, they won't actually be able to post a video about that because they have to be careful about referencing anything owned by Nintendo. So
I know.
I was so amazed in the more recent 5 things about Banjo-Kazooie, or 5 things you didn't know about Banjo-Kazooie video they put up. They referenced Donkey Kong quite a bit, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they never didn't reference Donkey Kong in any of even on Rare Replay, which was, on an Xbox disc. They just couldn't show any visual elements.
I know, but sometimes they are a little bit more careful. It cracked me up when they were plugging the video games live performance of Robin Beanland and David Wise. They didn't mention David Wise, and they didn't mention what they were actually performing.
Right.
Which was country music, so.
Right. I thought it was it was a little unfortunate that they didn't mention David Wise in there, but I can understand why DKC was sort of left off. Because cool then it would just be nothing but, why aren't you making Donkey Kong Country?
Right. It was really cool of them to let Robin Beanland do it in the first place, considering they didn't even do Funky's Fugue, the song that you were a fan of Robin Beanland from the start.
Right.
Yeah, it's a shame they didn't do that. But no, it was cool to see Robin Beanland there. With
You're just trying to reference one of the most mortifying moments of my life.
It worked out in the end for you, Chad.
It did work out, and I was right, by the way. He did write that song.
He did. He wrote it for Killer Instinct, but, they reused
He wrote it nonetheless, yeah.
They were lazy hacks. All the good ones that Rare left in 1993. So there was Diddy Kong.
I don't even know who was writing music for Rare in 1993 other than David Wise.
David Wise, yeah. And then Robin Beanland came in. And then Grant Kirkhope came in with Donkey Kong Land 2. And Graham Norgate was floating around there. So was Eveline Fisher.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, hang on. Grant Kirkhope, didn't he come in? Oh, wait, no. I'm thinking of Chris Sutherland. Never mind. I was thinking it was Game Boy Spider-Man, but that was Sutherland. Okay.
Yeah, that was Sutherland. Yeah, you insulted Chris Sutherland over that game.
No, I insulted Spider-Man on Game Boy in a cheeky fashion. It wasn't an insult on Sutherland. Jesus.
And then Sony heard that, and they're like, shit, we have to reboot it again. Let's call Marvel.
Someone's disrespecting it.
Let's call Marvel. So anyway, Diddy Kong comes with his plane. They made a Banjo figure. The only Banjo action figure that ever actually saw the light of day is Banjo sans Kazooie. I love the hilarity of this. And Banjo comes with his green cart, with those gorgeous Diddy Kong Racing big orange wheels,
the two-tone tires.
I love them. I like the wheels that make the carts float. Yeah, I love them. And by the way, it should be pointing out that you can fire weapons from these figures too. So
there was also a Mario Kart line, by the way, that where it had weapons that you could fire out of the carts.
I'm going to get to the Mario Kart line.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. So there was the only villain that ever saw release outside of Japan in the Donkey Kong universe, Whiz-Pig, had a fucking figure. Whiz-Pig.
Right.
And so with Whiz-Pig, and by the way, Whiz-Pig is not to scale, although I guess Diddy Kong Racing DS kind of retroactively implies that Whiz-Pig can shrink himself down. So
to suit his mood.
Ultimately, this action figure was justified in canon. So thanks, handheld team at Rare, circa 2007. Thank you.
You're welcome, Hyle.
Oh, wow, I'm glad they're listening. And in your apartment.
They're big fans.
You're keeping them hostage under the floorboards.
They're kind of taking advantage of my hospitality.
So Whiz-Pig comes packaged with a representation of the rocket he rides. And the great thing about this figure is, here, I've got it, this rocket that he can ride. I've got it in my hand right now. I don't know if you can hear this. Hold on, I'm trying to... This is great pod, by the way.
Yeah, you're just knocking things over.
Anyway, essentially, it's sparks in the back.
This is what sparks sound like. It was one of those like 90s things that they probably would never mass produce today for children because it's a huge fire hazard if you ever take that casing off of it.
I had a real Ghostbusters toy when I was a kid, and it actually shot sparks out of its mouth. And like nothing protecting you from it. Here are some sparks.
Just play with sparks, kids.
I love how dangerous toys were back in the era. I agree. I wouldn't want my child playing with that, but you know, I love.
I'll tell you, this is our number one selling Halloween costume. It's the spaceman costume. You put the bag over the kid's head, you put the tape around, and there they go, trick or treating.
I just love that. Yeah, here it's like putting thumbtacks in your eye and selling those to children. You know, just. Hey kid, here's a bag of rocks. Go wild.
You have seen that Dan Aykroyd bit from SNL, yeah?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've also seen Dan Aykroyd's Crystal Skull vodka. It's delicious.
I've also seen Dan Aykroyd's Illuminati conspiracy theories.
I'm trying to convince Michelle for us to serve Crystal Skull vodka at our wedding.
Ooh, that would be fantastic.
That would be fantastic.
Can you serve it side by side with Danny DeVito's limoncello?
Wait, Danny DeVito has a brand out?
Yeah, he has a brand of limoncello.
We might just have Trump... Because, you know, the Trump winery is about an hour from where I'm at right now.
Ew, there's a Trump winery in Virginia?
Yeah, in Charlottesville, Virginia. Yeah, there's a Trump winery. It's actually operated by his son, but yes. His son, who I think is an elephant killer. But, anyway, yeah.
They don't produce a lot here in Charlottesville, but one thing they do make is wine. That's why they call Charlottesville, Virginia, wine country.
There's tons of wineries in Charlottesville. Like,
are there really?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, okay. It just seemed like a ridiculous place to grow grapes for wine production, but all right.
Yeah. So, yeah. Charlottesville, Virginia, home of Trump wineries and rape at UVA. Wink.
Ew. Did you just wink?
I winked at my microphone. So Whiz-Pig is a fantastic figure. He is on model, as is Banjo, and the Diddy Kong is the only figure in the line I am missing. And I know you have it, and I haven't been able to track down a one online that I'm willing to spend, because these figures go for a lot of money online. But
oh, do they?
They do, yes. But I know you're not going to part with yours either.
That might be my retirement plan sorted, though.
Well, that's going to be a pretty sad retirement, considering I'm talking about they go for about $60 to $100 online. So, yeah, enjoy that 1 week of retirement, buddy.
Yeah, with inflation, that'll be a few cents.
The Diddy's slightly more off-model than the Banjo and Whiz-Pig, which are fantastic representations.
Yeah.
Diddy, he has blue eyes though. He looks haggard though. He looks like he's like been on like 5-night bender. I don't know.
He's really shaggy, and he has that sort of duckbill phenomenon that we mentioned on the earlier Donkey Kong figure.
Yeah. But yes, as you also mentioned, there was a complimentary Mario Kart 64 line during the same time. And so we had a Donkey Kong figure in this line, which I do have. I still have him in his packaging. I need to open him up for some reason. I don't... Because I never bothered opening them, because I will open him when I have my office. I just ran out of room for my shelf. I will crack him open though.
Yeah.
But he also looks quite haggard. He's even more off-modeled than the Toy Site figures. Do you have the Donkey Kong one?
I do. I have Donkey Kong, Wario, and Luigi. Those are the ones that I discovered at my parents'.
Wow, you have a lot more than I just have Donkey Kong. I like the DK on his tie. He's much more articulated than the Toy Site ones, but his face is weird. He's got beady eyes, untrustworthy eyes. He looks like Ted Cruz, actually. He looks like Ted Cruz. I'm saying it right here.
I just feel bad for Candy Kong, really.
Yeah, considering, he's cheating on her with 5 or 6 mistresses. How many is it now? There's no way to know.
12, probably.
Yeah. So, there's Donkey Kong. They made Mario, Luigi, Wario, Yoshi, and Bowser. So they made 3 more in the Mario Kart line, which I imagine sold a hair bit better than Diddy Kong Racing line, unfortunately. We never got that tipped-up figure. But, I like that you can, race Mario Kart against Diddy Kong Racing. And they actually did make... I didn't realize this until I was doing research for this episode. And yes, I did do research. They made a combo pack with Mario and Banjo. It's a dual-branded Mario Kart 64 Diddy Kong Racing combo pack. And Chad, I have the image in here in our show notes.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it. It's a bizarre visual.
It's bizarre
because
in 2000. Okay, in the year 2000 or whatever, this wouldn't have seemed so bizarre. In 2016, it's surreal to see this.
Mm-hmm. You know what else is kind of cool about this, though? There are so the figures in this are Banjo and Mario, but they also are packaging both of them with multiple carts. Banjo not only has his green and purple number 6 racing cart, but he's riding in Diddy's blue and red number 1 airplane.
Yeah,
which you actually can do because the figures are their scale is such that you can. At least Diddy and Banjo, you can swap them out in each other's carts.
Yeah, I like how Mario clearly comes with Luigi's cart, as if, like, where's Luigi? Like, it's...
Right.
Like, why would you need, like, I guess... I don't know why you would need a secondary cart or even a plane with these figures. I mean, it's cool that they bundled them. I guess they had just extra inventory that they were trying to get rid of, but... Yeah, it's just really cool to see, and I like these little mementos because a lot of people don't remember Nintendo owned Banjo. Banjo was a Nintendo character, and
Rare owned Tiny, Chunky, and Lanky Kong.
Yeah. So I just like seeing those little artifacts of the day, a Banjo side by side with Mario. No, Banjo wasn't this like thing that Rare owned that Nintendo had nothing to do with. They were pretty invested in the Banjo and Kazooie characters, and it's just cool to see him in a physical package with Mario side by side as equals, as they should be.
Without Diddy providing that connective tissue, it's just Banjo and Mario.
And Banjo Kazooie was going to be in the Mario's World line as well, so that's just weird times to be alive back. Or actually, they were normal times back then. In retrospect, they seem weird. But then the buyout happened, and Banjo went to Microsoft, and eventually BD&A. I think they're still around to this day, but they lost the Nintendo license after a good hearty run with them, probably close to a decade. They stopped making Nintendo products, and the Nintendo line in general went to a company called Global Holdings, which just sounds like some sort of shady, like offshore, like
a Cayman Islands financial institution.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like they actually do anything. It's just a place to like store illicit money, or a place to like filter dirty money through to like get it clean for the IRS.
Like Nintendo had a lot of Nazi gold that needed to be laundered.
Hey, I mean, Nintendo did get its start with sex hotels, so anything's possible. I mean,
That's true.
You look at the history of companies that supported the Nazis in World War II, like Siemens was one of them. Obviously, Volkswagen was Hitler's brainchild, so, So, yeah, sure, why not? Nintendo, founded on Nazi gold.
You heard it here first, folks.
And you'll hear it here last. Global Holdings, they took over everything for Nintendo. I want to say in the mid-aughts. I don't really know the timeline there because I wasn't faithfully following this stuff back then. We were making an Emmy Award-winning sci-fi comedy college show called Elvis' Slick Money, which unfortunately BDNA would not make the merchandise for that. We called them, but they were not.
We tried. Yeah.
So Global Holdings, though, they did this thing. They only made Mario figures, this was an overarching line called Super Mario, kind of similar to the Mario's World line that Toy Site tried to get off the ground. And you can still find some of these stuff on shelves in like liquidation stores like Ollie's or like other places that sell like stuff that other stores couldn't get rid of. And
Ross.
so Ross sometimes sells the stuff like that. There's some other places like that, but yeah, basically you can still find this stuff because I mean this stuff was around up until Jakks specifically got the license a couple years ago, and this was our only source for Donkey Kong merchandise during this era, and it was unfortunately under the Super Mario line. So you could see kind of our standing. We went from our own action figure line to just being in a Mario series. So, yeah, I mean, this is pretty much the buyout era in a nutshell. But we did have one action figure during this era. And actually, I gave this action figure to you as a wedding present, Chad.
Oh, yes. Which one was it?
Oh, you value our friendship. It was it was Donkey Kong, and it was granted.
That's right. Of course. So I've augmented this Donkey Kong with the rest of the set, so I had forgotten which one came from you. I apologize. I knew one of them did.
the only Donkey Kong figure being made during the time of your wedding, but sure.
Right.
So this was
I don't keep as solid a mental timeline of the action figure production pipeline, but
all right. Yeah. Well,
sorry.
So these were vinyl figures, and
it was a great gift, though. Really fantastic.
Thank you. These are vinyl figures and slightly more immobile than the Toy Site figures, or especially the Toy Biz kart racing figures. But this is actually probably the best modeled Donkey Kong action figure we've ever had. He is basically he's modeled after the kind of almost the Returns era Donkey Kong, because he's got the fatter neck, or the like bottom of his head, whatever that. He's got that bulge on the bottom.
It's his lower jaw.
Yeah, but he is actually positioned in the vintage classic Donkey Kong Country 2 and Donkey Kong 64 staring render.
The 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah, like the pose is identical to that, and he is actually
we call him PTSDK.
And he actually even has a bit of a sculpted ass on the back of him. He's got a bit of a crack going on there. So I appreciate that. Yeah. He's got a belly button. You can only move his arms and his legs and his head so much. Oh, you can't even move his head, I don't think. No, you can't move his head. Just his arms and his legs. And his tie is also loose on him. You can't get it off his head, but it's nice that it's just, you can like twirl his tie around a little bit. Which is a separate piece. And so this is a cool figure. He is my primary Donkey Kong on my shelf. I like to assign for figures we've had multiple versions of, which only is Donkey and Diddy at this point. I like to have a primary version of that figure, and so this is my primary Donkey Kong to this day.
So that was a very important question I was going to ask you, because I I also have multiple sets of these characters, and some of the minifigs. Now we have a full set of the Tropical Freeze playables.
Right.
Diddy, Donkey, Cranky, and Dixie. But I was going to ask, like, when you ultimately get around to doing like a full display, or perhaps the one you already have, So you would not display those minifigs on the same shelf as these Donkey and Diddy?
Well, the minifigs are another line entirely. You know, I'll have them on different portions of the shelf. But like my older Donkey Kong figures from the Donkey Kong line, for example, they're still going to be on a shelf. They'll just be near the back because I like to have my primary representation of that character.
Yep. Back of the bus.
Back of the bus, chest slamming Donkey Kong. Sorry, buddy. So, anyway, yeah, so Global Holdings, unfortunately, I think they really hurt the idea of Donkey Kong being a separate series from Mario. Not that Mario Wiki hasn't done its fair share of damage over the years, but yeah, I mean, having our characters, and they did do minifigures of Diddy and Dixie during this era too, so I'm not trying to discount that, but this isn't about minifigures now, is it? But yeah,
no.
everything was in the Super Mario line, and it was kind of painful to see. You had to buy a red package with Mario's grinning visage if you wanted any Donkey Kong goodness during this era. So
yeah,
thankfully, Jakks Pacific got the line a couple years back, and Jakks Pacific, they're kind of they're not, obviously as well known as Hasbro or Mattel, but I think they were mostly well known for making WWE action figures. That's where they made their mint back in the day. And so they eventually got the Nintendo line, and they still have it. I don't think they've announced anything new recently. I'm a little bit worried about the future of the line, but you can still find them on store shelves. I think Target and Toys R Us are the only place that really carry them, though. Or at least carry them on a regular basis. And you can usually find them on an end cap in Target and in the adult collectible aisle of Toys R Us, oddly enough. So, yeah. So,
they obviously Toys R Us has kind of figured out that the people buying these are the folks that have nostalgia for them from their own childhoods,
right? Because kids are buying amiibos, and that's Trainer Derek brought up amiibos, and ultimately, I think because amiibos launched the same time as the Jakks Pacific line launched, and I think there's really no competition for most of the market. Everybody went for the amiibos, even though they are immobile chunks of plastic that barely do anything. And ultimately, it has hurt Jakks Pacific. I think they sell all right, but nowhere near the numbers that justify keeping a toy line alive in 2016.
Right. Although it makes much more sense for Nintendo to focus on their first-party line of products as opposed to ones that they've outsourced.
I'm not faulting Nintendo here. It's just a shame that it's just a shame.
Right.
Because
it's unlikely we're going to get a Dixie Kong articulated amiibo ever.
Right, and we're not going to get a Dixie action figure. Like, I want a Dixie action figure. I want a Dixie on my shelf to go with my kitty, and I don't think we're going to get it. The minifigure for Dixie that they produced is excellent, but sadly, it's just a minifigure. It's not near the scale that I require.
Yeah. And it's cool that minifig, by the way, of Dixie is like a blending of her Retro Studios and Payon designs.
Yeah, she's got the coconut mouth. I call it the coconut mouth. I don't know why, but
yeah, the one from King of Swing.
Yes. But no, I really like it. I've got my minifigures on the side here. But yeah, this is the World of Nintendo line, and so this is it's much more democratic than what Global Holdings had, because each Nintendo series gets their own variation on packaging and their own logo. So, for example, Donkey Kong gets yellow packaging, banana yellow packaging, and you get the Donkey Kong logo on it. For a while, it was the Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze logo, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze logo, and now it's just gone down to Donkey Kong generically. There's Zelda figures, there's Metroid figures, but I think the ones you find the most of are Mario, Zelda, and Donkey Kong. And there were two figures in this line. Trainer Derek mentioned the super articulated Diddy Kong figure, which I know you love, Chad.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I wish when I was making those Monkey Piece Theater stop motions, I had this.
Yeah, well, there's no time like the present to revive the brand.
Okay. Stop motion is really time consuming.
I know. We don't have as much time as we had when we were young, dumb, and full of fun.
Right. And I was just learning that I could get that come out of my body at the time.
I don't need to know that.
You did this to me, Hyle Russell. This is what you turned this show into.
Oh, please. We are both to blame for the slow degradation. So the Diddy Kong comes with a mystery accessory. So this mystery accessory, like all the standard World of Nintendo action figures come with these mystery accessories, and they come bundled in this little cardboard box. Like the Mario ones are question mark blocks. The Diddy Kong one is a box that has a banana printing on the side, kind of like the Donkey Kong Land 2 border for the Super Game Boy.
Right, only it refers to that box as a mystery gift. It's
right.
like, what's inside your mystery box covered in bananas?
What's in the box? I was hoping for Gwyneth Paltrow's head, naturally.
As we all were.
Alas, it wasn't nearly goopy enough. It was a bunch of bananas.
It's your pretty little banana.
5 bananas, so it's a Retro Studios bunch of bananas, but not a
Back
rare
off
one.
now. Back off. Jakks Pacific has the upper hand.
Wait, what?
That's from at the end of 7.
Oh, we're still referencing 7?
Yeah, man, we're still referencing 7. It's a great movie.
All right.
It should be referenced constantly in every conversation.
I'm going to take you up on that challenge. From here on out,
All right.
I dare you. I challenge you. And viewers, you're going to have to keep us honest here, okay? This is going to be one of those things where we rely on the viewers or listeners to help keep us honest. Chad has to make a reference to the classic 90s movie 7, starring Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. Kevin Spacey was in it, right?
Of course he was in it. And the aforementioned Gwyneth Paltrow, of course.
Gwyneth Paltrow's head was in it, yes.
Yep,
So
yep.
we want to...
Occasionally attached to her body.
Yes, we spoilers, please. Chad has to make a 7 reference from every conversation, and what will happen when he ultimately fails? We need to make stipulations. You made stipulations with me. You made stipulations with me. I would say Chad has to
Eat spaghetti until my stomach explodes.
He has to spend an episode of the conversation eating spaghetti.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah,
All right.
I'll eat spaghetti live on the air.
But no, you have to eat spaghetti the entire episode.
Oh my god. If it's a multi-part, if it's like a 4-part Donkey Kong Country 2 spotlight, would I have to eat spaghetti for 9 hours straight? I think I know the answer to that.
You're gonna have to it's gonna be like a Magical Mystery Tour. John Lennon is gonna have to shovel you the spaghetti.
Oh, that makes me so uncomfortable.
I know.
That's a disgusting moment in that movie.
So it's up to you, buddy. Got to mention 7 every episode. I love how the task and the consequences have no relation to each other.
None whatsoever. Well, except for the guy whose stomach burst in 7 from eating spaghetti.
Oh, I haven't seen 7 in a while.
That was the gluttony guy.
I know.
Yeah.
Whenever I think about gluttony and spaghetti, I think about Magical Mystery Tour because I'm a Beatles fan.
Right.
I'm not a Brad
And then
Pitt
when I think
fan.
about Magical Mystery, that scene in Magical Mystery Tour, I think about that scene from Monty Python's Meaning of Life, and then that makes me even more ill.
All right. Anyway. So, Diddy Kong comes with 5 bananas, proof that God exists. So Kirk Cameron is pleased 5 times over. There's also another action figure in this line, and unfortunately, it is. Oh, by the way, it should be pointed out, Diddy has his 5 fingers on this figure and no blue eye, so very much modern Diddy. For better or for worse, but he's incredibly detailed. The proportions are exactly right. He's a lovely, lovely, lovely figure.
Yeah, he's got his stars. I mean, he's looking fantastic. He looks just like the most recent renders, which thankfully Retro has done an extremely solid job bringing Donkey and Diddy into a modern age.
He doesn't have his Retro Studios jetpack or the backpack on his back, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. Other than those accessories, he looks just like you would expect him to look.
Okay, so there's also this. I call him Toothy Grin Nightmare Donkey Kong, and he's technically supposed to be to scale with Diddy and every other figure we've talked about, but he's actually a little bit larger. I guess they're doing the Smash Brothers interpretation of Donkey Kong, where he's a little bit more of a hulking figure. And you've seen this figure, right, Chad?
You're talking about the one with what looks like encephalitis?
Yes. He's got a giant monstrous head that's literally half the size of the action figure is his head. And he's got the horrible toothy grin, complete with gums. Oh God, he is.
Was this action figure paired with like a go-kart that you had to cram his tiny body into? Or
No. He just sold separately. He's sold by himself.
What the hell?
He and Bowser are like the deluxe figures of the line in that like they're supposed to be larger. I think
just like Skylanders.
Yes, just like Skylanders. I think they wanted to make this large Bowser figure, but they couldn't justify having just this one figure off size. So they're like, well, who else can we make a big figure of? Well, Donkey Kong, I guess. This figure is awful, and I have him because, of course, I do. But he's at the back of my shelf, obscured by all the other figures because, good lord, he's awful to look at. So yeah, Jakks Pacific hit a home run and whiffed completely on this other figure. Finally, they also made a Fox McCloud figure in a Star Fox line. Unfortunately, he is based on Star Fox 64. I think did they make or are they making a Falco? I haven't seen a Falco in. Let me look this up real quick.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything about a Falco either.
I know. I know they. I think I saw like prototypes for one. Maybe I'm just hallucinating.
Where do these prototype images come from? Are there like toy trade shows where they're showing off the upcoming? Is it for like a retail convention?
Yeah, I think they showed them all. I think they showed some of these at Toy Fair. Okay, I'm not seeing a Falco figure anywhere. No. I'm seeing, they had a Falco and a Slippy planned. It says on shelf late 2015, so I'm assuming that maybe they do exist, and I just haven't encountered them in a while. But okay, well there you go. They've made them. But I only have
clearly someone just relished shooting Slippy down when he asked for help.
Yeah. But yeah, there's Star Fox 64, of course, because we're not going to reference anything after Star Fox 64. Am I right?
Was there anything after Star Fox 64? I've certainly never heard of it.
No, well, there's Star Fox Zero, but that's just that. I think that replaces Star Fox 64.
Jesus, God! Nintendo put out this like retrospective video a few weeks ago for the Star Fox series. I think
Nintendo
it was posted on the forum.
I think Nintendo of Europe did.
Nintendo of Europe, right? And it like half of the games in the retrospective are either ports or incredibly based on just the original Star Fox.
Right. Half the games in the Star Fox series now, I think more than half of them are some variation based on the original Star Fox, or more accurately based on Star Fox 64 now, which is based on the original Star Fox. So yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how mired in the mud that series has become.
Yeah. There's just nothing new coming out of it. It's like Rare did a really cool job of doing something new with the Star Fox franchise. Namco also did who was it?
Namco.
It was Namco, right?
And I will defend Star Fox Assault to the death. I love that.
I know you will, and I'm not going to shit talk it. Like I think there was some really cool stuff done in that game. It lacked in a few areas, but it is nowhere near deserving of the hatred that it got.
Yeah, it's just hive mentality, man. We're gonna hate this game because
it's not another Star Fox 64.
Yeah, right, exactly. But then we'll see how well Star Fox Zero does. I don't think it's going to do very well.
Nah, me neither.
So anyway, and like I said, I've been patiently waiting for a Dixie figure. I very much doubt it's coming because I think World of Nintendo is on its last legs. Unfortunately, Amiibo took a big chunk out of its market share, and this might be the end for Nintendo action figures for a while. I know in Japan they do these super articulated Super Mario figures that you can import. They've got like all these accessories like Goombas and coins and blocks and pipes, but that's Japan. I think the collector market has always been stronger over there. There is the aforementioned Donkey Kong cartoon series figure line. I'm not quite certain on the scale of those. I think they might be a little bit smaller, but they had a bunch of. They had a Dixie figure in that line. They had a K. Rool. They had a Cranky's Hut playset, for Christ's sake. Which even though
they also had a Clump and Crusher, by the way.
Yeah, even though I don't care about the cartoon, I kind of really want that Cranky Kong playset. I don't care. It's awesome.
Even though it's not Cranky's hut, it's that weird treehouse thing with the crystal coconut in the middle.
It's not Cranky's cabin. It's it's weird tree hut or whatever it was that's made of straw, and Claptraps bit through it at one time.
Yep. The Claptraps that are fired from a gun. Like the nanobots.
Yeah. I still really want that, but I've never been. I mean, that would require some serious eBaying, and I'm at the point in my life, especially since I'm getting married, where I can't justify spending. Oh, I want to spend a couple $100s on some action figures. Michelle won't mind.
You don't really need a honeymoon, do you?
Yeah, Caribbean. As I could see, Michelle, do you want to go to the Caribbean, or do you want to spend it at Cranky's Cartoon Hut? Hey.
With your imagination.
Okay. So anyway, I would love to see Dixie. I would love to see an official K. Rool. Obviously, if we can't even get K. Rool into a Nintendo game, I very much doubt an action figure will be coming. But yeah, I mean, I love them. I don't play with them, obviously, except when I try to get my Whizpig Rocket to spark. But
that's the most action that toy has had in a decade.
It's amazing.
I would love to see.
It's amazing. I'm getting any action a decade later.
Hey, look, I feel like there is a the stereotype, and we've covered this before, but the stereotype that says that you have to put away childish things is kind of an outdated notion.
Oh, it's dead and buried. I think our generation was the one that killed it because we wanted to hold on to our nerdy shit. Maybe it was Generation X that paved the way, but yeah, I really think, I think that stigma is kind of, you still see it occasionally, but it's slowly being phased out, and eventually the people who are perpetuating it will be dead. I'm talking about Chuck Lorre of The Big Bang Theory. No, yeah, and you really helped me out, Chet, because I had that stigma. Like, I was keeping my Donkey Kong obsession in the closet, and then I saw how you were wearing it, and it inspired me. And yeah, I have a shelf full of it. I'm gonna have a DKU man cave / office, and yeah, it's great. It makes me happy. It makes me smile. Puts a smile on my face.
Yeah. Would you say that it makes you feel like a little boy?
I would say it makes me feel like a little boy who is young, dumb, and full of...
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.